so the questions will be kind of buried way down on the message board. Might be tough for me to answer all those ones, but if you guys don't mind, fire off a few more. If there's any that you really want to know, just if you can, post them again and I'll check them out at the top of the message board. I'll scroll down a little ways here and see if there's any near the top. I see Lori posted, Meg was on yesterday. We were chatting about writing and stuff, and kind of what Meg was interested in, if she was to write a book, I guess, the sort of topics that she'd be interested in writing about. And I see Lori's posted a possible author that Meg may enjoy reading, so I'll be sure to pass that along to her. Definitely appreciate it. Thanks to everybody too for all the photos. Like I said, there's loads of them coming in. It's crazy. We're getting tons of pictures, and we've had a great day for visibility. So I can see we're getting a lot of really awesome clear photos. So the Stefan over at Beluga Bits is going to be super excited about today. I think the combination of the music and it just seems to be drawing him in. So we're getting some great pictures. For those of you who don't know about Beluga Bits, it's a citizen science project, part of the reason that we are out on the water. So if you tune into explore.org, type in the Beluga Cam in the search bar at the top of the screen, that'll take you to the underwater, the above deck cams. You can alternate between the two of them and you'll see a snapshot icon. So what we're hoping you'll do, and a lot of people have been, we've been getting thousands of pictures, so we really appreciate it, is taking photos of the whales as they cruise by the camera. And we're mainly looking for different identification marks, scarring, marks on the dorsal ridge, things like that, belly shots, and that way we can determine sex of the whales. This all goes back to Stefan, and they're able to determine, comparing it to other photos from previous years, how many whales are returning to the estuary each year. So it's a really neat project, and it's a really cool opportunity for you guys at home to take part and help us with the research. If you want to know any more, at the message board, so once you do get onto the Explore page, scroll down, you'll see the message board. There's a featured comment section at the very top, and you'll see some links there for Beluga Bits if you want to go check it out, and it'll be a little more in depth and give you some more information. I can see a bunch of whales under us right now, so that good opportunities for some photos. See some kelp floating around too. I think they call it bull kelp maybe. Seen a few chunks of that. Oh, got a calf beside us on the port side. There's lots of whales here now. And since I started talking, we already got 35 more comments. And snapshots, I guess. We had some really good photos from yesterday as well. We'll be keeping our eye out on shore. Hopefully, maybe we'll see another bear today. That'd be nice. We're getting close to the area. We seen one yesterday. There must be 15 whales on the port side right now, and I'm not sure how many underneath me on my side. Yeah. Yeah, so when the whales are coming up for a breath, I don't know if you guys have been able, Meg yesterday was trying to hold the mic out so you could hear them. I don't know if you caught that one right behind me, just blow. So that's basically, yeah, their exhale. You could hear the water spraying out. Or not so much spraying out, I guess, just whatever water. If they start, especially if they start to exhale like that one did before it comes totally out of the water. Then they take in another big gulp and head back down. There's a bunch of calves behind us right now. I'm sure they've been putting on quite the concert for you guys underneath the water today too. We've been hearing them on the boat quite a bit. I've commented before on smelling their breath. Sometimes they'll just blow if the wind's if they're close by and the wind's blowing in the right direction. When they come up and take a breath, you just get that mist. Oh, that was tiny. That was no less than 3 feet long, probably. Yeah, they'll come up and exhale, and then if the wind's blowing towards me, I'll just catch a whiff of it from time to time. We've had them in past days so close to the boat that I was getting sprayed right in the face. So that's a pretty good way to get a good blast of their breath. It's just like you'd expect. It's a pretty fishy smell. Oh, we got piles of them. How many do you think are around us right now, Rob? If you want to grab the mic or whatever here, we can chat while we're waiting too. That's about as much as you'll get there.
Move a little bit closer.
How many do you think are surrounding us?
These whales are just going nuts today, honestly. It's my first time out past Eskimo Point on the Beluga
So
boat,
much different being out here now.
Oh, for sure. It's just like every single day, the clarity of the water is getting just more and more clear. It's like glass. Some of these markings are so interesting on the belugas. I'm just, oh man, I'm at a loss.
Well, that was
This guy's as big as a boat here.
yeah, that is the
There's
tiniest
a little tiny
calf.
one here, right? Hopefully somebody's capturing that on the underwater cam.
So that's about as close as it needs to be to smell the breath. I don't know if you guys seen that, and the cam was pointing in the right direction. I caught a little whiff there. Large adult came up right beside the boat.
These guys are just loving life today, honestly.
And I was just looking.
I don't know what you're hearing on the underwater cam either, but we can definitely hear it up on board here. Seem to be super vocal today.
Man, I want to get a picture of that little calf. I can't believe how tiny it is. I was looking at some of the pictures, and Martinez, thanks for the collage. It's got a picture of Rob in there and then a whole bunch of underwater snapshots of the belugas. It's really cool. Appreciate that. You guys can whip that stuff up quick. That would probably take me a full day to figure out how to do that. So many whales, holy. I'm getting crazy lucky today.
They're just swamping the boat right now.
Yeah.
Especially these two just on the port.
I think a lot of the turbulence is just from the whales, between their bubbles and them surfacing, and
It's probably a good thing you can't switch off, eh? You know?
Pardon?
It's probably a good thing you can't switch off, otherwise it'd be knocking it over.
Yeah. Wow, I'm watching the numbers of the photos and stuff, the snapshots, and they're going up there per second faster than I can count. So the pectoral fins with a little bit of a curl kind of on the outside edge. They thought at one point that it might have been a way to identify males and females, but I think they've decided that that's not the case. But it, however, might be a way to tell in the future, like the age or a good guesstimate, I guess, of the age of the whales. So males and females do get that, and they know as they get older, there's just that bit of, yeah, it's like a curl. And you see in some of these large adults here, you'll notice it. Some of it is actually very obvious. Not sure why it happens, but
I did notice that some of them have a sort of a black outline on their tail fin as well.
yeah, just pigmentation. Yeah, it's just something that Stefan kind of explained it when he was out here. Sometimes it just doesn't go away, I guess, or it takes longer. You can really hear them underneath us. It's crazy. So besides here in Churchill, someone's wondering where else do you play, or what other kind of work do you do with the cello?
So I used to do a lot of studio work, and I used to accompany a lot of solo musicians back in Australia, but these days I'm a bit more in it for myself and trying to compose as much work as I can and hopefully sell it off as music so it can accompany film work as well. I'd really like to get into film scoring one of these days. I just got accepted to play at a festival back in Australia, so I'll be heading home just before Christmas and it'll be over New Year's. So I'm really excited about going home and doing all of this, but also really hoping to come back to Churchill and play under the Northern Lights as part of a tour as well. So if I can continue playing music in nature and trying to combine it as much as I can, that'd be ideal. That'd be completely ideal. I don't know, there's just something about playing outside, I must say. Plus having these beluga whales just going nuts over it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to, like when we were starting off there at the beginning, I think we had most of the whales in the estuary following us. And Greg got your Facebook page and your website posted the links.
Oh, cool, thank you.
Anybody wants to check that out.
We should be hearing back from Brandon in the next 7 days or so about that article he was working on. So
yeah, that was for Mike.com. We'll try to let you know as soon as that comes out. I think he's going to get a hold of me as well to let me know.
He just sent me a few more photos recently as well. They look awesome. There's this great one of the port in the background and just a bunch of whales just going crazy. Have you been dive bombed by a tern yet?
No, there's a few. Yesterday we had one hovering just above, kind of like almost the same height as the mast.
Wow.
I don't know what it was looking at in the front of the boat. I thought maybe a capelin jumped in here or something, and we didn't see it because it seemed to be interested in something up there. I heard, yeah, they dive bomb. They actually make contact, is what Meg was saying. She did work with swallows, and they'd buzz by, but they never actually really made contact. But I guess those terns do, which is pretty freaky when you see their beaks and then how they shoot down in the water. I wouldn't want that coming at me.
No, hell no. Yeah, in Australia we have plovers that dive bomb and swoop you and will actually make contact.
The which?
Plovers.
Oh, what are those?
Yeah. So they're just another territorial sort of bird, and when they've got nests around, they get very aggressive.
Yeah. Well, I know things like Canada geese, they'll come up and they'll bite at you and then they whack you with their wings, and they're supposed to pack quite a punch too.
There's this great photo of a Canada goose taking on a bald eagle.
Oh, really?
It's a Canada versus US sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with the Canada goose, I'll say that. No, hell no.
We always get them out at the lake. You gotta try to keep them off the lawn because they poop everywhere, and yeah, they're mean. They hiss at you.
Yeah.
You just walk out and kind of shoo them off, but they like to eat the grass.
I think that one just tried to dive bomb a whale.
We seen this morning a bunch of geese in the water, and the whales were surfacing all around, and the geese don't seem to be bothered by it. I was wondering if they'd be attracted to those little feet flapping down there and be tempted to go and give them a nudge.
Had a nip.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looping around again and probably head back down the water's edge there on Eskimo Point. I'm not sure how far out we can go before we start to buffer here. This is sort of close to as far as we went, I think, last time. There's whales just kind of peppering the water all over the place. Laurie's wondering how you ended up in Churchill.
I was on a massive backpacking adventure, and one of my friends found out I was actually going to Canada, and she was telling me to come up to Churchill just because she knew how much I love polar bears, and it turns out she's best friends with Belinda Fitzpatrick, my boss at the Tundra. I said I'd love to visit, but it's a bit too expensive for me at the time. So I got to Vancouver and I got this email from this crazy Australian lady in Churchill, Manitoba, seeing if she wanted me to work as a server and open mic host up in Churchill. I was like, oh gosh, it's a dream come true, right? So 6 months later, I ended up in Churchill and just fell in love with this place. You know, and I grew up with polar bears in my family, and polar bears were a big part of how my family functioned. My mum was really into them, and we'd watch all these documentaries about polar bears just because of how, you know, their motherly instinct is so strong and so defensive. Kind of like my mum in a way. So.
And that's similar to how Belinda ended up here too. Is like not necessarily for work, but she was just traveling through and heard about Churchill, and
apparently she really wanted to experience minus 40. So this is definitely one place.
This is
man,
where
these belugas are just loud as hell today.
Yeah, I know they're making noise outside of the water, which we've heard that twice now. That's not too common.
That's a turn.
These ones on the port side look like they're racing over to see us.
I'm gonna have a quick play here. Oh no, I've played for these guys already.
So you have your couple minutes then. Is that what you just said? You're gonna. So yeah, we got some whales and we got some tourists, so it's a good combination. Set the mic up here. Well, they're definitely following us, that's for sure. We just flipped around and they're still stuck to us like glue. Seen wannabe traveler commenting on how many whales we're interacting with. Yeah, it's just kind of a mishmash out here right now. We're getting whales from all over the place. You can see them kind of coming along, and others dropping off, and more joining, and other ones swimming away. So it's just been a mix. And we've moved around a fair amount in the estuary, and now we're actually in the bay here. So yeah, we've actually come across quite a few whales today. It's been a really excellent day, very active, to say the least. I've been looking for bears, not seeing any yet. Pardon? Did what? Got another large group coming to join us behind me right now. Coming cruising up. So you might have noticed it's been getting a little bit more wavy here now in the last 20 minutes or so. Make things a little more challenging for Rob. They're coming here?
Yeah, the study center guys.
Oh, coming on the boat, you mean? Oh, yeah. What do they do out there? Seen Eagle Nut commenting, best summer job ever. They got a snapshot of me taking snapshots. I have to agree. I've had a phenomenal time out here. I don't know. It's tough to explain. Um, Pardon? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess I'll take on this job, I suppose, if no one else wants to do it. No, it's been a great summer. It's gonna be hard to leave. It's gonna be really tough to leave when we gotta pull the boat out of the water. Tempted just to load up with fuel and head north. Follow the whales under migration. It's tough for me to get pictures. I try to get the opportunity, or take the opportunity whenever I can, and I've been desperately trying to get the photos of the calves. But they like to tease me quite a bit. So I think hopefully I'll go through all my pictures and hopefully I got a few gooders, but they're tricky. It's tough taking photos of beluga whales. You don't know when they're going to come up or where they're going to come up. So I think part of the problem, Southern Girl is commenting why the researchers couldn't just go through all the footage and take screenshots. So being a citizen science project, it's just such a large undertaking to go through all that footage or even to go through all the photos, which is why it's helpful when there's people like yourselves out there that take the time to go through the snapshots, or school groups, they go through the snapshots. It's a good way for the kids to be engaged and, you know, learn about nature or excite them about nature. But just the amount of photos and the time it takes, it's not as simple as just clicking through them. You have to observe them. If you do volunteer to look through photos, you'll see they ask different questions on each picture. So these guys are all working full time and they're doing other jobs as well. So it's tough and just cuts down on the workload. I was trying to think how many. I think it'd be if you did say, you know, 4 hours a day out here for the last couple months. It's over 200 hours of, you know, footage they'd have to go through. So it'd be difficult, and you guys do such a great job at it. So they're very appreciative of all the time that you guys volunteer to help them out. Second group in front of the boat on the starboard side. A large group, they're cruising away from us, headed up to the other Sea North boats. P60 says they love the music. And the belugas seem to as well. Yeah, they're having a good old time today. It seems like we're getting lots of action. We have a question if what the whales, how they'd respond if we recorded their vocalizations and then played them back. I'm not sure if they'd, I don't know how that'd go. I'm not really the guy, I guess, to answer that. This winter out at the cabin when I was living out on the trap line, I had whiskey jacks, and on warm days I'd sit out on the water. I'd take a lawn chair and put it out on the ice and record the whiskey jacks, because I was feeding them all winter. I'd give them oats and stuff, and I made a bird feeder out of bacon grease, and I mixed oats and honey in with it and then froze it on a rope and hung it outside, and they demolished it. They loved it. So they're kind of my buddies while I was out at the cabin. They're always chirping around 7:38 every morning, waiting for me to feed them. But I'd record them, and then I could play it back on the speaker. And I don't know, they kind of look at you funny when you started to play it back at them, and they'd only be a couple feet away from me. So, so the belugas being probably, I'd say, it's safe to say they're a lot smarter than a whiskey jack. I'm not sure what they'd do. It's a good question. I'm sure if we had like Valari out, maybe next year if she's back in town, she'd be able to say. Probably depend on which vocalizations we were recording as well. Here's a big group heading our way. They'll be passing underneath in a few seconds. Got a few people snorkeling in front of us. We'll keep a little distance from them.